for the past rest of your life, every time you have suffered, it has been because you have been resisting your experience. So in a moment of new resistance, let's just say that you've gone through some form of awakening process. You understand that resistance is causing your suffering, that you understand that your separate self is this really just this moment of resistance that in a moment contracts, and you believe yourself to be separate from the rest of the whole, and you know that this causes your suffering. Now, typically after we realize this, we still find that there's these traces of suffering, these habits, these tendencies, we could call it like these post-awakening ripples of the separate self, of the trauma of separation. And there's certain experiences that don't quite go past the awakening, so to speak. We don't just cleanse everything all in one, and there's things that happen along the way. Now, you may be very surprised at how big these emotional trauma-y tendencies can be. And now, in the moment that you're experiencing that, if you're resisting it, then you will be suffering it. So the wisdom in this statement, the reason why I say it at all, even though some people find it contradicting, others find it absolutely fascinating and profound, and I want to try and maybe share more of the significance of it, is purely because in the moment of your resistance, you are behaving in accordance to a separate self. You can't not be. If you're not behaving in accordance to a separate self in the moment of suffering, you would not be suffering. You see? So when these new tendencies arise, or these old tendencies arise in a new moment, so to speak, and you're feeling the resistance, and you one thought may be saying, how am I experiencing this? This is ridiculous. I know better. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I feel this way, blah, blah, blah. Or it might even be, you'll be way past that. It might be quite a lot of emotion or quite a big, intense feeling. And you don't know, you don't even know what to do with it. It just doesn't feel good, right? In that moment when you're resisting it, I want you to try this one thing. To say to yourself, I'm going to give myself the freedom to suffer. Because in that moment, the one who is suffering is the one that is resisting the feeling. So if you tell that one that you're going to give yourself the freedom to suffer, then by definition you're going to let go. And in that letting go, in that giving yourself that freedom to suffer, you'll stop resisting your suffering. And you'll discover that the only reason you were suffering to begin with is because you were resisting your experience. So in the midst of that experience, you will fully let go. And see what happens to your suffering when you give yourself the full freedom to suffer. The suffering disappears. It becomes not a problem. And the only problem with our suffering is when we think it is a problem, because it's not a problem. This is the beauty of it. It's such a simple thing to do, which you don't even do. You see, from the point of view of the separate self, you do it, but from the point of view of your true self, it's just a complete surrender. It's actually just a complete surrender to your experience. And because it's so the opposite of what we would expect, it's so the opposite of what the separate self would concoct in its little intelligent mind, it evaporates. It's got nothing else to say to it. So just trust me on this. Try this in your experience, and you will surrender all fight, surrender all resistance. So I hope this brings some significance to that and why it's important. I have a free community. I take people through meditations every single week, and you can join that for free. The link's in the description. I'd love to see you there. Take care, guys. Bye.